Hey there, for all my budding artists out there, I just wanted to give a little tip. This is a good time for some of you to do some of this. Like if you have old canvases, maybe you've played around and you've done some different art. This is a good time to repurpose those and try some new stuff. I'm going to be doing some painting tutorials coming up very soon. I'm working on those today. So, you have some canvases to do this on. It works also on like canvas boards, but you just get yourself some acrylic gesso. You can probably order this online, I imagine, have it sent to your house. Acrylic gesso is different from just regular white paint because it's like an acrylic base mixed in with plaster particles. So it creates a really nice texture for you to lay more layers of paint on. So it's similar to the original texture of the primed canvas, which is typically what you're using is primed canvas. What they prime canvas with is gesso. So it just creates that great texture base for you to start layering paint back on again. So we use that, like that bottle that I showed you, I've had for over a year, maybe almost 2 years. I rarely use it. The only time I ever really use gesso is when I'm repurposing canvas. So I keep a bottle handy for when I'm ready to do this. And it really, it's a great thing to use. You can also use white paint, but I will show you the difference in the upcoming video of white paint compared to gesso. So get out those old canvases and let's repurpose them. So I want to repurpose this canvas here. It's one that I did for a painting class. Those typically are the ones that I repurpose the most, ones that I've done instructing, because I already have a copy. I usually do a copy to show the class and then I recreate it. So the one that I recreate is typically the one that I will repurpose. So I just use my gesso that I showed you guys before. See the Liquitex gesso, acrylic gesso. You don't need that much to start out. Oh, this might be kind of plugged up because like I said, I have not used it for quite a while. So it has like a thicker consistency typically than regular paint, depending. There's different kinds of gesso. There's more expensive types, there's less expensive types, there's all different kinds. But you'll see when I cover it, it gives a thicker coverage, which really covers up that paint. You can do the same thing with white paint. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using white paint if you want to repurpose a canvas. But unless you have a really heavy-bodied, like titanium white, you're going to have to probably do a lot more coats than you will using gesso. Gesso, you need one, maybe 2 coats. Like these were neon paints that I used for this piece, so they're a lot more vibrant. So if I really want to, I can do another coat, but you're not trying to cover it completely. You're just trying to cover it up enough that when you repurpose it, when you paint the next image on top of it, you can't see through. That's really the main thing that you're trying to do. Now, the biggest thing with gesso is because it is a heavy body, you can see how thick it is there on my brush. It will kind of leave brush marks on your canvas. And if you're very particular about that or you don't like it, you can just get a fine grained sandpaper and sand those out. So some of the canvases that I've used, I've repurposed were for professional pieces. And on those, I definitely sand out these brush strokes. But I'm repurposing this to just do some tutorials, so it's okay if there's some of the brush strokes. So you see I'm just working that gesso back and forth so I have a nice, smooth, even layer. And then I'll just let it dry completely, and it'll be good to go, ready to reuse. Just anything that has like that canvas type texture, this gesso really adheres well to, and then your next layer of paint will adhere really well to it again. So I'm just going to kind of go along, do the edges. You don't have to do all of this. I just have a little leftover on my brush, and I hate to waste. So I always try to utilize as much of the materials as possible. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. It's just like I said, little tips and tricks that us artists use, especially right now because we have limited access to resources. Repurpose some of those old canvases. I might go through some of my art and see stuff that hasn't sold, or you know, stuff that like I've really moved on from that style and repurpose them so I can paint some new stuff on it. So happy creating.